Quadcast Nation. Welcome back. We are super excited about this latest initiative that we are throwing down. We're doing these mini casts based on old episodes, 5 to 10 minute clips of high yield content talking about, sleep, nutrition, wellness altogether, your overall well-being, stuff that we've covered that I think could benefit the masses. Our first one we're doing with Dr. Kirk Parsley talking about sleep. He was part of a two-parter. This man's a gem. I hope you really enjoy this. For those that haven't signed up already, Solving Wellness. How we're changing that boogie, healthcare providers with a virtual format, getting online workouts, yoga, nutrition tips, cooking classes. Know what I mean? And just creating that community where we're supporting each other, trying to reduce that burnout. You know what I'm saying? So yes, join us. Go to solvingwellness.com. Year for $99. Each month, $9.99 if you prefer. Regardless, you get that first month free. Check it. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump on the Minicast with Dr. Kirk Parsley.
I meant to say this earlier when I was on my diatribe of how I got to where I am. I used to start my lectures with the definition of sleep, and then I'd go into what I called the 4 pillars of health, which was sleep, nutrition, exercise, and stress mitigation. And I've since switched that, and there's 3 pillars of health sitting on this foundation of sleep, because I honestly do not think that there is any, well, I know for a fact, I know it as well as I know anything, as much as anyone can know anything. I know for sure that poor sleep impacts every single area of your life. And the area that it impacts most is whichever area is most important to you, because it impacts every area probably equally as bad. What most people don't think through is that the primary thing that makes us capable in today's society is our prefrontal cortex. Mm-hmm. And the prefrontal cortex is impaired by stress hormones. So if you're using stress hormones to compensate for poor sleep, you're decreasing executive functioning. And that's your ability to communicate. That's your ability to be a parent. That's your ability to make a good decision. It's your ability to solve problems. It's your ability to plan. It's your ability to, as Anthony Sapolsky calls it, or Robert Sapolsky calls it, he calls it the simulator. So we can actually try an idea out. If we have a good prefrontal cortex, we can say, all right, there's 3 options here. Let me think. I'm going to see what each one of these things would most likely lead to. When I get these really sort of frenetic paced clients that I work with in these annual programs, these people haven't slept well in decades, a lot of them. And they think, I'm going to get up and I'm going to Well, all the research proves that you will actually get less done because your prefrontal cortex won't be working as well. Then you're going to make a lot of mistakes that you're going to have to repair, and there's going to be inefficiencies, and there's going to be brain lapses. And if you're sleep deprived enough, you're actually going to do little micro sleeps where you're falling asleep and you don't even know you're asleep. And then you're coming back to wakefulness, and it's like a blip in the matrix, and you don't even really know what happened, and you just keep going on about your day. But once I get these people, once I convince them how important sleep is, which is 99% of the battle is getting them to believe that they need to sleep, and I get them to make it their priority. And by the way, if you want to be my client, like this comes out before you can become my client, is that you're going to try sleeping as your priority for a while. And then once I get people, and they still resist it, don't get me wrong, like they still resist it. They're like, no, give me hormones and peptides and make me feel better. I'm like, no, you're going to sleep. And I get people to sleep. And once they've slept for 3 or 4 days, and they've slept well for 3 or 4 days, and they've gotten adequate sleep for 3 or 4 days, they will literally say things like, man, it's like somebody put a filter over everything and all the colors are hyper, or like the whole world seems brighter to me, man. Like everything seems so much more simplistic and calm. Like I don't remember feeling this good. And once they've lived in that space sadly, I mean, the relapse is high, but once they've lived in that space, if you can get them to live in that space for a month consistently, usually I find that they'll never go back. They become disinhibited. It's because they don't realize they're disinhibited, right? If you knew that it's like, yeah, I took a drug and I'm just feeling disinhibited right now, but I know that's a bad idea because all the other 99.9% of my life that I've been awake and sober, I've known that that was a bad idea. So I'm not going to do that now. But what happens when you're drunk is you lose the ability to assess yourself. Like your self-awareness goes away. And that's why you think you can drive when you're drunk. And you think, oh, I'm not impaired. Well, the same thing happens when you sleep deprive people. So you take somebody and you test them, you teach them something and test them, or you test them in something that they already do, doesn't matter. You test them while they're sleep adapted. They've been sleeping well for a while. And then you take away 2 hours of sleep from them. Instead of sleeping 8 hours, they sleep 6 hours, and they come back the next day and you test them. They'll do worse. Interestingly, you ask them, how do you think you did? And they say, I did worse. I was tired. I know I did worse. And then you do it again the next day and the same thing happens. And do it again the next day and the same thing happens. But by about the fourth day, they're still doing just as badly. Their performance is still declining. But when you ask them how they think they did, they say, I think I did fine. I've completely adapted to this new sleep schedule, and I think I did just fine. And then you can show them the data, and there's documentation that the subjects will actually argue with the researchers that their data is wrong because they know for a fact that they did just as well today as they had been doing before.
So is that why you hear those people that say like, oh, I could operate on 4 hours of sleep, no problem, I feel good.
Right.
Like that's the science behind it. Wow.
Right.
I hope you enjoyed that mini cast. Leave any comments at kwadcast99@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook at Kwadcast. Leave that 5-star rating on iTunes. You know, it helps with our visibility, helps us to continue to change that boogie. Sign up for Solving Wellness. Go to solvingwellness.com for more info. And thanks for listening in, and we'll connect again real soon. Peace.